Greetings, legendary readers. Welcome back to Larry's Legendary Library, where I like to read, collect, and talk about science fiction, fantasy, and other bits and bobs. Today is another Magazine Monday, and I am going to talk about two stories in the magazine of science, fantasy and science fiction, the October 1974 issue. It is the 25th anniversary issue. Interestingly, Theodore Sturgeon is featured on this cover, and he is the only one that was also featured on the original cover 25 years prior. The first story I'm going to talk about, Count von Schimmelhorn and the Time Pony by R. Bretnor, Reginald Bretnor. He was a cavalryman in the Army, the last cavalry in the U.S. Army in the early 1940s. And interestingly, horses and cavalry play a part in this story. Basically, Count von Schimmelhorn, and he creates this time machine. He gifts it to a friend, a general in the Army, and they go back in time and try to save the world, I guess you could say it. I will say that I did DNF the story. For me, it was a little tedious with some of the way he writes the German accents. I'll read just several sentences here. Aha, I told you, crowed Mama Schimmelhorn. It does not work, this. She broke off, staring. But it is impossible. Now you need a haircut. Naturlich. I am away 2 weeks. In Egypt, I stay with friends. You were not gone 1 second. That is because I come back just when I started. But how can der machine get to Egypt when it is here in New Haven? Because every time machine is a space-time machine. You cannot separate. Mein old friend Albert, when he was alive at Princeton, could explain it, but I cannot. And to me, the language of the reading was tedious, and I finally gave up. But I will say it was an interesting story, and but for that, I would have rated it much higher. But as a result, even though I DNF'd it, I would probably rate it as L3 legit for someone else that wouldn't struggle with reading that language, and you might enjoy it more than I did. It's kind of whimsical. It's got humor in it. And so, I think it's worth reading. The next story that I did read and complete, Blue Butter by Theodore Sturgeon, basically a story about the narrator coming to visit his friend, a scientist, Stromberg, and just basically the conversation they have. It was interesting in here, listed as graffiti on the bathroom wall, is nothing is always absolutely so, which is famously known as Sturgeon's Law, and he included it in this and other stories. And then another thing I thought was interesting, Stromberg is talking and says, they think in geological time, in astronomical time, in cosmological time. I'm talking about the idiots who involve themselves in science fiction, reading it, writing it, some scientists, some philosophers. And I just thought that was an interesting tongue-in-cheek poking fun at science fiction writers and readers, which he is both. And of course, his fans would be all science fiction readers. Basically, Blue Butter refers to this cream that Stromberg is putting on his body for a problem he's having with lice that is bothering him. And then he goes on to kind of correlate that to the world and how we are like lice to the world, and how the world goes about treating itself from the infestation that is us. So it was an interesting read. Not a lot of action, mostly just dialogue. Interestingly, this story was runner-up for the Jupiter Award in 1975. Jupiter Awards there were just 5 years that they were used, and they were presented by like university professors, intellectuals, basically highlighting literary science fiction, science fiction that had kind of deeper meaning and worth like philosophical side to it. The one that ended up winning was Ursula K. Le Guin's The Day Before the Revolution, which I also read, but I won't review that here. But with those things in mind, I would give Blue Butter by Theodore Sturgeon my rating of L3 legit. It is worth reading. There's just tiny bits of what might be humorous, like to me, that quote about science fiction readers, and a few other little tidbits. But it's deep, it's thought-provoking, and it certainly is carrying a message. So have you read any Theodore Sturgeon, and what did you think? If you did, please let me know in the comments. And as always, stay legendary.